All right, your topic. Now, something a little bit different this week, but I think it's a movement that you can start, mate.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So, we know people bluff out rules and this and that all the time in Supercoach and interpretations and da-da. I normally try and steer relatively clear of it. And I think to those at Supercoach HQ's credit, the game's in a good place. I think 98% of stuff they have going on is correct, but there's a few things. I just want to touch on one thing coming off the weekend that I think has to change in 2024, and I think that is just around HIAs. They need to, just much like the NRL moving with the times, I think Supercoach need to move with the times a little bit and be willing to adapt, and not say they haven't a little bit in the past, but it's around having basically an auto emergency that can come into play for when someone gets HIA'd early on in games. And we take Chance as an example on the weekend, and it's not me having a bitch and moan because I didn't know Chance actually got away with this one, but he lasted, I think, about 19 minutes in that game. And I just think there has to be something put in place, and there are a bunch of options to counter this because it brings luck into the equation too much. Now, over the years and prior to this crackdown on head knocks where you get a flick in the ear and you're gone for the game, you'd have your injuries there and you'd sit there and go, oh, look, injuries happen. It's a game of luck. But HIAs, we know they're going to happen and just absolutely screw people. And the one on the weekend was almost a bit of an exception because it was a pretty bad one to charge. But there are ones that are so minor, like Lemuelu.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, for example, the Spy had him and there was nothing in that. Got deemed Category 1 and he couldn't come back on. They went and fought that and said, like, no, it wasn't Category 1, that we disagree, and we thought he could have gone back on. Something like that can be so detrimental to Supercoach. So what I'd suggest is, and this is just a general idea rather than the specifics of it, I just think there has to be an auto emergency come in for a player that, let's say they go down with HIA they fail HIA within 20 minutes of a game, as per Chance. You could maybe do first half, but then it becomes a bit murky if, that player scores a couple of tries in the first half, etc., and they score well and you want the score. But say first 20, maybe first 25 minutes, they fail HIA. Not only do you get an AE coming for that player, but you get to select that AE from your extended bench, obviously prior to the weekend starting. BBL Supercoach does it. AFL Supercoach do it. You can pick an AE from each position. So say it was Chance at centre on the weekend, you might go, well, I had Tyrone Munro there and he was my AE. Chance went down within the first 20. Tyrone Munro comes in and he becomes your starting CT dub. It just takes so much of the luck factor out of it. And I know I harp on about depth and all that, but it rewards a bit of depth in your squad, actually having planned for it, built your cap, done all that sort of thing. I really think, and there's a million different ways you can go about it, as I said. What's your take on it?
Firstly, I want to echo that I think Supercoach does a tremendous job, and 98%, as you said, is fantastic. I think we too often want to focus on the 2%.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, exactly what you said, mate. I think it's time that we adapt to the times, and I don't hold it against Supercoach for not having something like this at the start of the season. But I think it's very evident now, and I think it's very evident that we are taking HIAs and everything. Like, we're not going to take it less seriously over the next few years.
It's going to intensify.
Yeah, it's going to intensify, as it probably should, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I do think we need to adapt to it to some extent. And I like this idea, mate. When you first said it to me, I sort of thought, maybe you go first half, but it is a good point. Like, because it's Supercoach, it will happen. Someone will score 3 tries in the first half, get HIA'd, and instead of getting their 86, you'll get someone's 25 or whatever. You mentioned having an AE for each position that you nominate. I think you would have your starting team, you'd have your 4 reserves, and then you would have one player that you would nominate as an AE. Yeah, your 18th man. That's exactly what it would be. Yeah. And I think that the other factor, which we spoke about earlier, is that there was the idea that floated that it could be used as like a looping mechanism.
Like essentially a relatively free VC loop every week.
I think that this only gets activated for HIAs, nothing else.
Yep.
So if you want to loop and you want to use a non-playing player somewhere in your side, good as gold, that's fine, but you will still get your lowest score, not your AE score. Yep. And I don't know how it would work on the back end and whatnot, but do it for other sports. I think it just makes sense, doesn't it?
So News Corp's 2 other Supercoach games do it already and have done for years.
It's bizarre to me that they've had it for years and NRL doesn't have it.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. I'm sure there'd be reasoning behind it or
Yeah.
logic behind it, but I just, off the dome, I can't figure it out.
And so whether it's an 18th man, whether an AE in each position is the answer, like even an AE in each position, like I find it ridiculous that you can have a ton of depth and, you know, a player goes down and then you get Sonny Luke 7 when 5 players went 70 plus on your bench. Like, reward them for like the player in the position coming in. Again, there's finer details that would have to be rounded out, but I don't think it's that hard, and it could just be as simple as 18th man, you select who it is before the round starts, failed HIA within 20 minutes, that player comes in.
Yeah, and they just need to set a minute. And if it's 25 minutes and 3 seconds, tough shit.
Yeah.
You had your chance there.
For sure.
I like it.
Thanks, mate.
Let's make it work.
Shout out Tom Sangster.
Yes. Not the real guru.
The OG guru.
Fucking pretender. All right.